Hello everybody, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. And in this video, I'm actually going to be talking about the Divine Grace mod with the Archangel Ariel and its gear. So that being said, let's get to it. What really ticked me off, I actually was trying to do this a couple times, but it really ticked me off, no matter how many times I was talking about this, was the hidden potential. I saw that it had a hidden potential, and it really ticked me off. One of the reasons is they still haven't finished 34 like the actual reason it makes this game feel more hostile towards like me and maybe a couple of you people who really know how this game has been going for a while. I don't like the fact that they just threw a 36 cost out there with the potential where they still even haven't finished 34 costs. Where's Liatsu and where's Misadari's Awakening? Like that's not even the worst part. Like they haven't touched 35 costs at all. Like if you at least got more than half of every 35 cost monster's potential unlock, I would find it okay to add a hidden potential to the 36 cost monster. But you haven't even touched 35 cost monsters potentials yet. They still, almost every one of them don't have potentials, and yet you're going to add a potential to this monster. Jeez, 18, thanks. You're jerks. You're honestly jerks. This is stupid. I can't tell if you had the balls to do this or you were just like stoned off your butts and you realize you clicked the wrong button and gave the wrong monster potential unlock. Like, it's retarded. I don't know why you would do this, but anyways, I'm not talking about that. I'm actually going to be talking about the monster and the spawn in total. So let's actually get to it. It has an ability power of 160. It's one of those moves that damages a random enemy 10 times and all the hits are guaranteed to hit. It increases elemental attack of all elements for all allies by 6 for 120 seconds. It casts hero on your character for 60 seconds. It adds a field buff that increases the stats elemental attacks and max HP. So would this be a good monster? Absolutely yes. Like there's no doubt in your mind. There's no doubt in my mind. There should be no doubt in anybody's mind that this is a good monster. If it casts hero, it's right away a good monster. So no matter what, it's going to be a good monster. I'm not going to say it's going to be great, the best right away just because it casts hero, but if it casts hero, it's just instantly at least a good monster, to be fairly honest. Hero is the best buff in the game. Sadly, it can only be cast on yourself at the moment, but it's the best buff in the game. It's literally the only buff where if you take it, you can't add no negative effects whatsoever. Anything, nothing can touch hero. Hero is going to stay the way it is until hero runs out. Like no matter what you do, hero is an unstoppable buff. Pretty much what it does is it nullifies status alignments, it nullifies debuffs, it nullifies buffs, so that's the downside to it. And on top of it, you're not getting like Unison reduction. It boosts stats by twice the amount, so on top of it, you're getting a little buff inside hero that pretty much boosts your stats by twice the amount of what they already are. So like if you were 40k attack and 40k magic attack, you'd be 80k thanks to hero. So during when you have hero activated, you're 80k. And nothing can stop that. Absolutely nothing can stop that. No matter what the enemy team throws at you, or the enemy at all, nothing can stop that. No matter which moves they use of player versus enemy, that would usually give you blind, or whatever they give you, no matter what they would give you, nothing can stop it. Even the Crystal Assault, like when it comes to balancing and karma, any of that stuff, it can't stop you. Hero is there to stay. No matter what you do, hero is there to stay. So hero is just there for good. It's you can't do nothing to hero. That's why it's one of the best buffs in the game. It gives you that 2 times stat boost, and you can't do nothing to it. On the flip side, you can't really give any buffs besides like field effects. Other than the field effects, no buffs can really get through hero as well. Like Awakening, Beast, they get through hero, but the stat increase doesn't. So like the attack, the magic attack, or any stats increase that you might get from Awakening or Beast don't apply to hero whatsoever. Everything else applies to hero that would count as Awakening and Beast, but that's the only thing that doesn't. So no matter what you're doing, those right there will not count as buffs, and they will not go to hero, even if you do add Awakening and Beast and it shows like the little circle. So literally nothing can get through hero besides maybe the field buffs, which this one has a field buff because field buffs and heroes apparently have been homies since the first day. But anyways, going off from there, absolutely, this is if you actually look at this monster close enough, if you think about it, if you've been here for long enough, this is pretty much like a better version of Liatsu. Now, Liatsu can be more useful in player versus player depending on the situation, because Liatsu does, when she uses her field buff, it gives all your costs back. So it puts you at 100 cost, I believe. I could be wrong about this, but when I looked at the info, it looks like it recovers your cost. So I think it gives you 100 cost. If it doesn't, either way, this monster would be better overall. Depending on the situation, this monster is even better to use in player versus player than Liatsu. On top of it, it's a higher cost with potential, so no doubt of the benefit. Even if Liatsu were to get a potential at this point, Liatsu would never give any more stats to this monster. This monster doesn't increase magic attack and attack like Liatsu, but this monster also increases the stats, so you're getting more stats increase from this monster. Now, Liatsu's field buff does add this other thing that would make it more better player versus player. And pretty much what it does, it decreases the damage of light unison and dark unison attacks by 80%. So that right there is a really nice buff on Liatsu's part. That's why Liatsu can be better in player versus player overall than the Archangel Ariel. But Archangel Ariel can be more useful in player versus player on top of it as well. It depends on the situation. So overall, Archangel Ariel would be a better monster to have than Liatsu, even though they both pretty much do like an increase of useful stats and they both cast hero. This one is more like absolutely better in player versus player compared to Liatsu, and this one could be more, depending on the situation, better in player versus player than Liatsu as well. This one has an elemental attack increase by 10 overall. Like, it gives an overall 10. So that way, you're actually doing, no matter which enemy you will be fighting, because it's all elements, attack increase by 10% overall, you're going to be doing more damage on top of it. And this is a really nice player versus enemy buff, because depending on the monsters you will be fighting, this could be really pretty dang useful, to be fairly honest. So yes, this monster is better than Liatsu overall, and this monster is pretty dang good overall. On top of it, definitely a pretty good monster to actually have overall. So yes, I definitely would recommend going for it, but Divine Graces are pay to win spots, keep that in mind. So you're gonna have to spend a lot of gems and possibly a lot of money to actually be able to obtain some of the stuff. Anyways, going on from there, the weapons down here are 35 costs, so they are up to date on their stats, but their skill, let's take a look at their skill. They have an intellect, which has a chance for physical damage up, or magical damage up, or both physical and magical damage up when ability is used. Added effect, archer attack ability power up XL. Now, I'm not sure what the added effect, the added effect probably increases the ability power even more. But anyways, this is a really gross skill. It's really nasty. And these weapons are kind of crappy, because if I go in here, I literally have a 30 wood cost armor right here that actually has the constant effect skill that these have a chance to proc. Right here, I have one that has the constant effect skill that they have a chance to proc. So overall, those are really nasty weapons right there. I don't think they would be recommended to use at all. I might be wrong on that behalf, but like, I have an armor that's 30 wood cost that actually works better than those weapons. That doesn't just give a chance, but overall gives like an overall like permanent boost to damage, physical and magical. So it's funny how they have 30 ones that actually do better, and their armors, they've been out for like a long time. Anyways, moving on there for the weapons, because they literally all do the same thing. They got the armors right here, and these armors are pretty much, I wouldn't say godly, but these armors are OP. I saw these armors and I was like, whoa. It really gave me a smack on the face. It really did, because these armors are really, I would say really strong, but these armors are pretty dang strong. They destroy, they decimate, I don't even know what to call it. They just get rid of the Azure armor and any other armors below it. Not just because they have higher costs, so they give more stats, but also because the skill is better. So not only is the stats they give better, the skill is better too. This is the first reflection double XL gear out there. Now they might have like physical double XL or magical, but this is both physical and magical in one skill. So this right here is the best reflection armor in the game. If you're working on defenses, if you need to work on defenses, or if you're a defensive or tanky class, I would highly recommend, if you can of course, because this is a pay to win spot. You're going to be using probably a lot of money to actually obtain some of the stuff. if you can, if it's in your budget, I would definitely try to go for these reflection armors, depending on the metal cost overall. So yeah, pretty much the monster and the armors are definitely some really good stuff to have overall. But let's talk about the spawn and whether it's worth it to really do it or not, and let's just talk about the rates and all that stuff. Okay, so first of all, it's a Divine Grace spawn. So the difference between a Divine Grace spawn and a treasure spawn really is the SSR rates. So you actually have a higher chance to obtain frequent but diversified SSRs. There are no rates up on the gear like usual. So when you're spawning, you're probably not going to obtain, like, the chances of actually obtaining any of this gear is literally 0 to none. I'm not gonna say it has a 0% chance, but the chance is so low, you might as well consider it as 0. So even though they have a 12.01% chance, they made sure that they gave pretty much these armors and weapons and the monster no rates to actually obtain through the spawn themselves. As for the jackpot, you're probably not going to obtain the scroll either because the scroll has low rates, but you might be able to obtain it. I think it's like a 1 out of 10 chance or 1 out of 15 chance, so keep that in mind. Every 1 out of 10 jackpots you do is probably where you're going to obtain the scroll. You might have to, like, that's just the rates. I think I'm calculating them based on every other Divine Grace and treasure spawn that everybody has ever done to actually obtain the scrolls, because through overall you might actually obtain 10k medals, then you might obtain a scroll at all. You might be lucky to obtain one on your like first jackpot, but for the most part you're probably going to have to get 10k medals to actually obtain the monster scroll. You're probably not going to obtain it through the jackpot at all. They have 1000 medals in the jackpot. They have either 400 to 200 in one chest, and then other than that, they have a super augment quest. They have 3 of them. That's nice. They have awakening orb and drop some ether. That's nice, and that's pretty much as far as I'm going for the nice stuff. They have 25 cost or higher SSRs, which is not worth it anymore because now they offer 36 cost armors and 35 cost weapons, so by far that's not worth it anymore. And whatever they offer, they still offer 52,200 per spawn. I forgot to go over that real quick. In the exchange, the summoning scroll for the feature monster is the usual 10k medals. It's nice though to see that they gave 6k medals for the 32 cost. It's still pretty dang pay to win, so I wish it was like 5 to 4k, because I don't think 6k for 32 cost is worth it anymore. And I don't think 7k is definitely worth a 33 cost. I think it's more like 5k or 4.5k. And I think 6k is worth I would say 7k or maybe 6k is worth the 34 cost depending on what it is. So I think the scrolls below it are a bit expensive, but they are there if you want to obtain them. These are only 2k medals, so that means by the time you're done getting 2 jackpots, you can get some of these armors and weapons. So that is pretty much, that's a good deal. That's not a bad deal at all to obtain these. As for the stuff below here, if you need something that gives you cost, these are quick and to the point. There are better gear that actually have better stats that do the same thing. There's actually 2 sets of gears that actually have better stats that do the same thing. But if you just need weapons that actually give you cost, they give you more cost, because the proc rates of these things are not bad at all. They are here to stay, and you can get them if you need to. If you need opening skills, just in case you're doing Coliseum or dual rooms as well, these are pretty much damage barriers. They work in a sense of damage barriers. So if you need those as well, you can reduce the damage taken. Reflect works better in player versus player, but when you're dealing with like a monster, if you're dealing with the Unison, the barrier would actually be better than the reflect, because the barrier actually still reduces damage even though you're taking Unison damage. Reflect, like if you were to use reflect, it wouldn't do that. But reflect is overall better to start off with, because reflect actually gives the damage back at the attacker. So keep that in mind while you're doing this. And then they got the 31 cost right here. I'd recommend the bow if you're really going to go for this, which I really don't recommend because it's only 31 costs, but because of its skill, it's not bad. And then they have the blue bronze armor. Some of you have been wondering how I got this armor. This is the opportunity for you to grab this armor if you want it. Like I said, it has a reflection reduction effect, and it's at 32 cost. So if you need a quick 32 cost reflection reduction armor, it's definitely right here. At least the male version. The female version doesn't have that at all. So if you're interested in that, definitely the male version of this armor has that stuff. So if you're interested in the cosmetic, and that is there to stay. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this helped out. This is the AzureWrath, and I'll catch you in the next video. I'm out. Peace.